Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the DI 101 webinar series. If you're new to the series, I'll tell you that it is an incredible resource offered to our customers, partners, and associates. By partnering with our manufacturers and our industry experts, we deliver informative presentations about industry trends, new technology, new products, and product applications. We are extremely excited to partner with Owens Corning for today's webinar. Today's webinar will teach the different sizing and making of Owens Corning's material lists, saddles, PVC covers, jacketing, etc. You will learn about Owens Corning's metric pipe insulation offerings and when to use standard or metric insulation. You will see the pipe sizing differences of metric and imperial sizes and understand what offerings are available today. Let me introduce our presenter, Dick Gebhardt, Technical Manager for the North American Technical Insulation side of Owens Corning. That includes pipe and mechanical, commercial, and industrial installations. Dick has been with Owens Corning for 43 years. He spent 23 years performing fire testing of insulation products and physical property testing of air handling, commercial, and industrial products. He spent another 20 years as a technical field support and applications for these products. For Owens Corning, he represents Owens Corning in a variety of committees and associations, including the ASTM Committee C16 Thermal Insulation, ASTM Committee E5 Fire Standards, North American Insulation Manufacturers Association, both the Air Handling Technical Committee and the Commercial and Industrial Technical Committee, and also the Metal Building Technical Committee. He also serves on the NIA Engineering Committee and the UL technical committees that oversees the testing procedures and listing UL 181 and UL 181A and B closure systems. We are proud to have Owens Corning present today, and we certainly thank them for their time. We will pause for questions at the end of the webinar. To submit questions, please use the questions tab on the GoToWebinar control panel. You can submit your questions at any point during the webinar, and we will answer all the questions that we can during the two question periods. I'm sorry, there will just be one question period at the end. So you can submit your questions at any time, and we will answer them at the end. Without further delay, I will turn this over to Dick Gebhardt with Owens Corning.
Thank you, Jared. Good afternoon, everyone, and looking forward to this presentation. And what it deals with is the proper sizing of pipe insulation and the frustrations that people seem to have, particularly dealing with metric sized pipes in relationship to the pipe insulation availability. First, Owens Corning last year was a $7.2 billion company in sales. We have over 19,000 employees worldwide in 33 countries. And for the last 65 years, we have been a Fortune 500 company. We service residential, commercial, and industrial markets through insulation, roofing, and composite businesses. This is a brief overview of the agenda that we're going to be going through. And again, the main function is to show the sizing differentials here between the current or the imperial sizes, which is what we deal with in the a lot of the metal sizes, versus the metric sizes, which are mostly polymer pipes. Our pipe insulation is we project it to properly seal, protect, and insulate the job that you're doing. We have on our ceiling, we have our exclusive SSL2 closure systems. As you can see here to the right, you see the one seal for the first adhesive, which is in pink, and then the little glossiness on the jacket. That's the two adhesives coming together to assure superior seal, easy application and fit. It eliminates the needs for staples and mastic, and it keeps the flap shut to minimize damage during the shipping also. The protection is 6 years ago, we came out with what is our ASJ Max. It's a durable, cleanable, and wrinkle-resistant jacket. Can resist short durations of water exposure that may occur during construction. Has a polymer film surface that wipes clean, does not support mold growth, and has 3 locations in determining sizes in along the tape system here. Our SSL2, when we were coming out with this jacket, was reformulated so that it worked and fused with that polymer surface for a better, more tighter closure system. Really the main part of it for this presentation is tailored to fit to performance applications. We have 2 different types of what we call cores. A flexible core, which helps on the smaller sizes, it helps compress over some of the copper fittings and small bore iron pipes. And it eliminates the need to fillet, which could help save installation time up to 16%. We have a rigid core for the larger sizes and is manufactured for fast and easy fabrication. It's all rated up to 1,000 degrees. And we can go up to 36-inch in preformed pipe sections, as well as, again, the main thrust of this conversation is metric sizing. Now, when we talk about metric pipe, most of it is polymer, and the 2 main manufacturers of it is Aquatherm and NUPI. And the listing of the applications that you will find the polymer metric pipes in dominantly, and the heating and chilled systems, hydraulic assist piping for distribution, food processing, compressed air. The advantages to what people are finding with the metric pipes, being that they're polymer, is resistant to corrosion. Again, under insulation corrosion is a very big issue, as those of us that deals in this industry knows. It's lightweight. Scrap value, you do not have to worry about copper leaving the site or whatever, like you do with the polymer insulation. And again, with the chilled systems, that's one reason why it's a replacement for copper in that vein. Durable surface installation. The joints are heat fused, so it's not sweated or threaded type. And it does have some insulating value, which helps particularly in the chilled systems and condensation control. And just kind of briefly, that even though it has a low emissivity in comparison to iron and copper, if you leave it uninsulated, and this is based off the NEMA 3E Plus program, at a 1-inch pipe at 140 degrees with an ambient of 70, it will still have a heat loss of 34.2 BTUs per linear foot per hour. Where if you just put on 1 inch of insulation, your heat loss is estimated at 7.9 or almost 8, but that's almost a 75% increase of efficiency in heat loss. When we come down to bare iron, to show the differential, because it has the higher emissivities, the heat loss on bare metal, which is not surprising, and over a range of 1 to 2 inch, is considerable. But if you go down here with 1 inch or a ½ inch, particularly 1 inch, just by applying that 1 inch of insulation over all these sizes, all these are roughly at 85% improvement in efficiency. So that's why it's important to insulate, regardless if it's plastic pipe or metal pipe. That's why it's important for the energy efficiency of these systems. Now, we're going to get into the metric sizing versus imperial sizing. And when people are ordering and doing pipe, what we're used to is the iron and copper sizes are set by the metal pipe industry and is referred to as the national pipe standards. When they order pipe and copper are usually referenced by their ID. So a 2-inch pipe or 2-inch copper has a 2-inch inside diameter. And these are always in inches in their specifications. Metric, though, is manufactured per ASTM F2388, titled Standard Specification for Pressure-Rated Polypropylene Piping Systems. Metric pipe sizes are referenced to the outside diameter, not the inside diameter. Plastic pipes uses the metric system and is measured in millimeters. So here's some examples of the differentials in sizes. And one of the most common things that you hear, let's say, is 2-inch pipe. We'll have a different dimension for iron, copper, and plastic. The OD is what is important for sizing pipe insulation. 2-inch iron, copper, and metric plastic pipes all require different pipe insulation sizes. For 2-inch iron, again, that's the ID, but the actual OD is 2.375, close to 2.4, even though the ID is 2 inches. The same goes with copper. When you get the wall thickness in there, it's 2.25. But with 50 millimeter metric pipe, even though it's considered like 2-inch, its actual OD, is 1.969. It's not even 2 inches. Again, metric for 50 to be equivalent to 2 inches, that would be 50.8 millimeters to get you up to 2. But the ID is smaller, so when they're using metric pipe, they have to use the flow charts that Aquatherm and NUPI provide for calculation of the flows, since the ID is smaller. So when you're trying to fit the imperial sizes to metric, and again, sticking with the 2-inch 50 millimeter issue, we have a 50 millimeter or it's 1.97 inches total OD. That's 2 inches. So I'll just order 2-inch pipe insulation. Again, pipe insulation made for 2-inch iron is 2.41 inches ID on the insulation, and will never fit correctly and will look sloppy when you apply this to a 50 millimeter pipe. This leaves a 7/16 inch gap, as the pictorial here kind of shows, kind of hangs and swings. These are when people say the job looks sloppy or the fitting doesn't apply, it looks bad. It's not that, it's all because the pipe insulation is bigger than the metric pipe size, and that's why it has this hanging or whatever sloppy look. That usually pulls those comments from the code official thinking it's a bad job, or even the owner thinking he's got a bad job. Again, to fit the metric pipe correctly with insulation, you have to manufacture the insulation to the metric size and tolerance. So, okay, well, what if I have a 63-inch millimeter or 2.48, bigger, close to 2-inch, so I'll order 2-inch pipe insulation. Well, now you're going the opposite direction. Again, iron is 2.41 inches for the inside diameter of pipe insulation. That's 0.07 inches tight, an undersized fit. You end up with kind of this, as you see, V type scenario. Contractor is going to have a hard time closing it, depending on the core. So if you try to go up the next insulation size, you go up to 2.5, and it has an ID of, the insulation has an ID of 2.8. You're back to the previous slide where it's going to look sloppy. So there is no direct fit of metric pipe insulation or metric sizes to an imperial size. It's either going to be a little tight or a little loose or a lot loose or a lot tight. So there's no direct fit between those sizes. 3 years ago, Owens Corning, we had been hearing comments from the field about giving me the information, let me see, give it to him what I need to know on everything. Some said it'd be nice to have everything together. So we worked on what we call pipe sizing manual. And as we were going through this, we had it reviewed by some people at the Army Corps of Engineers, and a couple of contractors, the direction that we were taking our new pipe sizing manual to. This manual now is 32 pages, not 4, 5, or 6 pages. That includes different tables and sizings and making out the material list for a contractor all in one line: saddles, PVC covers, and jacket calculations. So just kind of a quick review just for iron. How would how these charts are put together now in our manual. You have for like iron pipe, you have the iron pipe size. Again, that's the ID. There's the OD in inches. So what insulation thickness do you want? Then you order that size. For example, since we've been looking at 2-inch, there's the OD. So I want to put on a 1/2 inch. So I want to order 2.5. The next thing is defining what core you're getting, flexible core or rigid core. That's what the F stands for, flex, and R for R is for rigid. We then give you the total OD of both the pipe and the insulation. We give you the calculated circumference. Why is that important? Because sometimes on jobs, regardless of some of your sizes, the contractor has to put another jacket over it because it might be in a washdown room, or it may be in a where water can get on it. We give you the suggested saddle size and the PVC cover. So in one line, we're giving you all the information that you need for that pipe size, for that size of insulation. And we're going to tell you what type of core you're going to be receiving. Metric is set up the same way. Since we've been dealing with 2-inch, we have a 50 millimeter pipe. It's the 50 millimeter is the OD, the equivalency in inches. What it really does represent, the closest in imperial size. So if you use a 1-inch insulation, you're going to get a flex core with an OD of roughly 4 inches. Here's the circumference, the suggested saddle size, and the PVC cover needed for your elbows and fittings. Owens Corning metric pipe offerings today, we have this chart. S stands for standard stock, M for made to order. And as you can see down here, we have light gray is for flexible core, and the rigid core is in the dark gray, and the various sizes that we make, and what is or is not standard and made to order. We can mix fiberglass metric sizes with standard fiberglass imperial sizes on trucks, and we're the only manufacturer to make metric size fiberglass pipe insulation. So we also understand that at times, if it's made to order or for, somebody has pipe sizings that, well, I need to use an imperial, I don't have time, or for whatever reason, understanding that some people may still want to do this, we have in our manual a metric match to the imperial sizings, set up pretty much kind of the same way. We have the definition of the flexible core and rigid core, but we added a column, and it's right here, fit. If it's in a black print, it's going to be loose, and in the red print, it's going to be tight. So we're telling you, if you order imperial sizes, how it's going to fit around that size of pipe. So if you order for a 1/2 inch pipe, here's the metric sizes for 1/2 inch insulation. Again, pretty much it's going across sizing, order sizing, here's the ID, but again, what cores you're getting in that, and the saddle sizes and the circumference. But then again, this becomes a very important column, that you're going to be loose in certain sizes, and then here's the red ones. You're going to be tight. Now, the fact that these are all flex core, these may close. It's going to be particularly a little tight, even though they're in the hundreds, but they will not slide and they will not rotate around, as some jobs call for, as installers are putting them in. It's up to whoever orders it to let them know, hey, it's going to be a little loose, or it's going to be tight. So we are telling you, this is one of the comments we had gotten from contractors. We didn't know. Tell us what we're dealing with. That's why this column was added into the metric match to imperial sizes. We're letting you know, regardless of what size you order, whether you're going to be loose or tight. If you go through this chart in our manual, you will see no dashes here. It's going to be one way or the other, regardless of the sizes. Now, plenum ratings for pipe insulation with plastic pipe. Some of us have been around for a few years know that this has become quite an issue in the code arena, starting back in 2015. And most people may be familiar with really what is a plenum, an open air space in a building that passively returns airflow and utilities, commonly exist above suspended ceilings in commercial buildings. Because it does have airflow and it's return air, because forced air does have the duct system coming through the system, the constant airflow of plenums means that there's an abundance of oxygen. Even though it's return air, there's still quite a bit of oxygen there. It presents a greater risk for flames to spread quickly in the event of a fire, and can also carry smoke throughout the building. For this reason, any materials located within plenums, cables, wires, insulations have special building code requirements regarding their flammability. This usually relates to one document called NFPA 90A, which deals with plenums. Non-combustibility, E84 results, or UL 723 results, 2550, and NFPA 259, which has got the bomb, which is called the bomb calorimeter, and the calculations of BTU content not to exceed 3,500 BTUs per pound. Some of that's requirements for the use of within plenums. 3 years ago, Owens Corning came out with our technical bulletin. As this became more of an issue around insulation over polymer pipes, is a lot of our testing was considered over metal. How do you do against polymers, which are considered flammable? Do you give some protection to it? Owens Corning insulation is plenum rated today for use on all plastic pipes, both imperial and metric sizes. Owens Corning is the only pipe insulation listed and labeled for this application, and here's our technical bulletin 10023253, and this is the front page of it. The following information can be found on the technical bulletin and the UL label printed on every box. Owens Corning SSL2 and ASJ Max insulation is in full compliance to the fire hazard classification, FHC, Flame Spread Index 25 and Smoke Developed Index 50, as tested per over 1/4 inch PVC and 1/4 inch polypropylene, and is the only fully listed and labeled fiberglass pipe insulation carrying the following labeling on all boxes. And this is what is beside our UL label. We have our surface burning for code compliance in the top box, but in the box below it, insulated plastic pipe assembly certified in accordance with the International Mechanical Code, IMC. Section 602.1, exception 5.3, PVC and polypropylene pipe. During the installation, the pipe is to be covered with 1 inch thick Owens Corning polypropylene craft scrim foil, that is the makeup of the jacket, face pipe covering designated fire hazard classification 2550 per file R14111. If you go to the UL directory and you type in R14111, that is our file number for our pipe insulation. It will come up and there'll be 3 categories. The first one deals with surface burning, dealing with the US codes. The second one is Canadian listings. The third one deals with this testing over polymer pipes for plenum ratings. So it is right on our UL website. All you need is R14111 and Owens Corning to find it. Additionally, one thing is, as you're doing your job, the National Insulation Association, NIA, has come out with what they call the Insulation Energy Appraiser Program for Certified Energy Appraisers. And what these folks are trained to do is they can calculate density control for pipes, calculations for equipment and pipes, temperature drops for ducts, hydraulic plumbing, personal protection. It was the right insulation material used. The NIA guide with the current ASTM specs they use, they're basically another inspector, true. But what they're able to do is when you get questions, was the job insulated right? Was this done right? Was that like, they can come in, they've been trained, and they sort of like a HERS rater. Yes, this was a good job. Even though it's another cost, when you're getting questioned about how the job is performed, was the right insulation applied, is thermal values there, these folks can save a lot of ills. And this is part of our installation sheets and everything. We recommend it. It's not a requirement. It's just recommended. And the Association of, also in Canada, the British Columbia Installation Contractors, that recognizes this program is using this program also. Again, yes, I know it's another inspection, but it can get away from a lot of ills of questions about how the job was done. Additional and other resources on our website is our mechanical installation solutions and our ebooks, which are master specs. Division 9 and 7 is shown here. For the mechanical and air handling, of course, is Division 22 and 23. And in Division 22 and 23, we do have a master spec for metric size pipe insulation. So it is separate from the imperial size master spec. And what it contains is recognition of pipe fiber bonded thermal setting resin, which is how a lot of times pipe insulation or fiberglass is listed. Preformed insulation fitting to the imperial sizes, and which is one of our other master specs, to C547 type 1, and it has our service jackets. Also, our metric, which you see here, to C547, same requirement. Now in metric, we only make up to 315 millimeters. There are bigger sizes in metric that goes 355 and larger. We do have some preforms that will fit around it, but they will not fit tight. They're usually a little more looser. And so if you don't want that loose, sloppy feeling or whatever, we would recommend that in the larger sizes, consider going to pipe and tank wrap or flex wrap, which is in compliance to ASTM C1393 type 1 and 2 with factory applied jackets and the film exterior surface. So in closing, Owens Corning pipe insulation brings you a sealed, protected, and insulated system. Owens Corning is the only manufacturer to offer metric pipe insulation, size 4 metric pipes. Owens Corning's PLENUM rated is for both imperial and metric size pipe insulations over polymer pipes. So that's regular PVC, CPVC, as well as the metric polymers, which most of them are polypropylene. Consult with and ask for the Owens Corning SSL2 with ASJ, because it will cover everything you need in the field. So we're at any questions?
Thanks so much, Dick. Appreciate it. It was very informative. We don't have any questions yet, but I can stall for a minute while people kind of gather their thoughts. I'm sure there might be a couple questions out there. So in the meantime, I will just again thank Owens Corning and Dick Gebhardt for joining us today and doing this webinar. I also want to mention that we have a couple more webinars scheduled in August, so keep an eye out for more information on those. You can visit distributioninternational.com or follow Distribution International on LinkedIn, and that's a great way to make sure you are aware of webinars that are coming up. When you go to our website, when you go to distributioninternational.com under resources, and then you can click on the DI 101 webinar series, there's actually a link where you can sign up to receive invites for all of our webinars moving forward. So be sure you do that. I stalled a little bit. I still don't have any questions coming through. So a reminder, you can use the questions tab on your GoToWebinar control panel. Dick, I don't see any questions. So do you have anything else you want to add here?
Well, the only thing, if there is any questions or whatever, as you see here on the screen, our 1-800-GET-PINK, or email our Get Tech folks. If it's something a little more detailed than just some of the general stuff that I just went through, they will forward it to me or to the technical person that deals with regardless if it's pipe, any type of product lines in that. And just to leave that, a proper size pipe installation relieves the aggravation from the contractor or the installer of either fitting, metric sizing is that it's too loose or too tight. There's nothing in between. It's not going to be a direct fit. So, and it alleviates questions that it was a bad job when it may not be a bad job. It's not a bad job. It's just that the installation doesn't fit quite right. So always try to use the right fitting installation and sizes. And if you're using metric, order metric size pipe for the best fit.
Great, thanks, Dick. And to our customers that are on the webinar, if you have project needs for metric or anything that's applicable to this, be sure you reach out to your DI representative, and they'll help you out with anything you need. With that, I appreciate everybody joining. If you have some people on your team maybe that missed the webinar today, I will say that this is being recorded, and we will post this full-length video of the webinar on our YouTube channel. So just go to YouTube and search Distribution International, and you can find our channel. And you'll be able to find this along with other past webinars that we've done. With that, I want to wish everybody a wonderful afternoon. Stay safe, and thanks for joining. Bye.